Hello out there, David Wright here in New York. Delighted to be here with George Takei, one of my childhood heroes.
Can I give you a quick Japanese lesson?
Yes?
My name is pronounced Takei.
I'm very sorry.
No, I don't object to the mispronunciation Takei.
Okay.
Because that's a Japanese word that means expensive. I'm a very accommodating guy. I'd be happy to accommodate
Well,
you.
George Takei is, everyone knows him as Mr. Sulu from Star Trek, also as an activist, and he is here in New York as part of the Influence and Engage Conference, a conference that seeks to use social media to do good in the world, and you're here to do a particular kind of good. Tell me a little bit about that.
You'll first of all have to excuse this voice. I woke up in the morning with this hoarse sound. So if you'll allow me, this is the way I have to be talking. I grew up as a child during World War II, imprisoned in U.S. internment camps. And because of that, I was an activist throughout my life. My mission is to raise the awareness of that chapter of American history and make sure that it never happens again. And so we developed a musical. I'm a Southern Californian, this cold is getting to my eyes. We developed a musical that tells the story of the internment, which we played on Broadway. We opened in 2015, closed last year, and we also filmed it so that we can reach a larger audience as well.
And this is, I should say to the audience at home, is an issue that is not just a piece of history to you, a piece of your personal history, but also something that you feel is a worry in the present day.
Most certainly, because what happened to Japanese Americans was this sweeping characterization of a whole group of people. We're Americans. My mother was born in Sacramento. My father was a San Franciscan. They met and married in Los Angeles, and my siblings and I were born there. We're Americans. But simply because we looked like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor, we were looked on with fear and suspicion and outright hatred. And this war hysteria reached all the way to the presidency of the United States. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed one of the great ones, signed an executive order ordering all of us on the West Coast, 120,000 of us, to be summarily rounded up with no charges, no trial, no due process, and to be imprisoned.
And you were 5 years old at the time?
I was 5 years old, and the war lasted 4 years. I was 8.5 when we were released.
So you grew up in this internment camp?
I grew up in the internment camp, in prison, barbed wire fences, sentry towers, machine guns pointed at us. When I made the night runs from our barrack to the latrine, searchlights followed us. It was a prison camp. And we were innocent people who had done nothing wrong. We had nothing to do with Pearl Harbor. And the American ideal of due process. When you're arrested, you're charged. You have the right to challenge those charges in a court of law. And then if you are found guilty of those charges, then you're in prison. In our case, it was just our ancestry, our faces, that got us in prison.
And today,
and this is very relevant to our times today.
Talk to me about
because there's the same kind of sweeping characterization of a whole group of people. During the presidential campaign, Donald Trump made the statement, all Muslims should be banned from entry into the United States. To characterize over 1 billion people on this planet as all potential terrorists is ridiculous as it was to call us the enemy when we're Americans and we had nothing to do with it. And so this issue was something that concerned me very much, even before Donald Trump's presidential campaign. We developed a musical to raise the awareness of this issue, of the characterization of a whole group of people with no due process. And we had a Broadway musical going at that time called Allegiance. We made a film of that to ensure its longevity. And when that statement was made by Donald Trump that all Muslims should be banned from entry into the United States, that sent a chill down my back.
You're worried that those people, that Muslims, might be subjected to the same things that Japanese Americans were subjected to back in
Absolutely.
1945.
And you know, Muslims are many, many different people. There are some people that are fighting that kind of terrorism. There are some people that are fleeing poverty and looking to a new future here in America. And so we want to relate the internment of Japanese Americans to the kind of campaign when Donald Trump talks about a Muslim registry. That's precisely what happened to us. They had a registry on us. They knew where we lived, what we did for a living, how many in family. And with that, they came down with a curfew where we had to be home by 7 p.m., stay at home until 6 a.m. We were imprisoned at night in our home. And then we discovered that our bank accounts were frozen. Our life savings was no longer accessible to us. And then the soldiers came to take us away. So we're trying to stop this registry that they talk about. And Donald Trump has nominated people to head the various offices in his cabinet with people who are echoing that sort of sound.
I mean, to be fair to him, he's not talking about setting up internment camps.
No, and they didn't.
Thankfully,
at the beginning, they didn't talk about that for us. They just got a registry, so we know the pattern, and we want to stop this registry before it becomes fact. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we are now working with CARE 2 to get a petition out. And we, as a matter of fact, we do have it already out. And we're gathering signatures of those that stand with us and with the Muslim community and oppose the implementation of a registry.
What is the address of that people can find out more information?
It's care2.com.
Care number 2.
Yes, number 2.com petition. And we will present the petition. Our goal now is 100,000, but we're going to far surpass that. We've been gathering signatures for 5 days now, and we have over 90,000. So we're upping the, I think we could go get 250,000, 250,000. Right. And we will present this petition to the Muslim Public Affairs Council, a council at which I've spoken, as well as the Attorney General of California has spoken there, to show our solidarity with the Muslim American community and to demonstrate the strength of numbers and the overwhelming public opinion supporting the Muslim American community and opposing a Muslim registry. And then we will together present that petition to elected officials to urge them to learn from the lessons of American history.
I think one of the things that's intriguing to me about this is a week in which we've seen Meryl Streep famously get up at the Golden Globes and give an impassioned speech from her point of view, criticized from the Trump side. That,
as she's overrated.
She's overrated, and
that
I
shows
think there's a big debate about whether how much we should listen to the political opinions of celebrities. But this isn't just a political opinion you formed casually. This is something you've lived.
We experienced it. I mean, I was a child then, but growing up, I grew up with that always on my mind. I had many after-dinner conversations with my father, and he shared with me his pain, his anguish, his sense of degradation, bringing up these children, three of us, behind these barbed wire fences. I know the pain, I know the damage, and President Ronald Reagan recognized it, and he apologized for the internment of Japanese Americans and paid a $20,000 redress to every survivor that was alive at that time, 1988, which totaled $1.2 billion, and that was just in the redress, the apology alone. The cost of the internment itself shot it way over.
Did you get a check?
I did.
How much was it for?
$20,000.
Interesting.
And I donated the whole thing to the Japanese American National Museum, which is where I thought my money belonged, because I was a child and I really didn't experience the pain as my parents' generation did, or my grandparents' generation did. And so that money went to telling that story and to raise the awareness. And again, we hear chilling echoes of that same thing recurring again from Donald Trump's mouth and his surrogates like Carl Higbie. And we are determined not to ever let this happen in America again. We're standing for American values.
I want to spare your voice. I also want to end it on a light note. So I'm going to put you on the spot. It feels to me like half of America is thinking that this is one of those Star Trek episodes where the future has changed somehow and we're living in a bizarre universe that's different from the way
like
things
that.
are supposed to be. And half of America wishes that we could put the warp drive on whatever setting it should be and travel back in time and
where
correct
no one
the
has
mistake.
gone before.
Exactly.
Well,
what Star Trek episode to you speaks to where we are now? It was such a good series in terms of speaking to the cultural moment. Do you think, and it was made in the time when the cultural moment was not unlike ours, at least in the divisions.
That's right. Absolutely. We had the civil rights crusade going on. We had the Vietnam War, and we dealt with all those issues of climate change, and I'm feeling that climate change right now.
Doesn't feel like global warming, though, does it?
I'm thinking quickly, what episode?
I'm sorry to put you on the spot that way.
But you know, that was 50 years ago that we did that.
Wow.
We just celebrated the 50th anniversary of Star Trek last year.
Wow.
So I may have a good memory, but not on the spur of the moment.
All right.
Like
Well,
that.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's really a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you, and good luck with your endeavor.
Well, I wish you live long and prosper.
George Takei, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. You can see this on the This Week page and also on Facebook. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm David Wright in New York.